Finish up this project, we are going to be focusing on the principle of emphasis. Emphasis refers to having a focal point, so directing the eye somewhere because of the shape being very different, the color being very different, the texture being very different. Something about it makes it stick out, okay? So we are going to be using watercolors to help us achieve emphasis for this project. So if you're actually in the mountains in a big snowy area, most things are covered in snow except for what? That's right, the sky. Okay. If it's not a cloudy day, you actually might see something really cool, especially if you're, situated like in Alaska or somewhere really far up north. You might see like the northern lights or something really dope. So we're actually going to be painting like a really colorful night sky in ours, and using salt, if you have some, it creates a really, really cool technique with it. So I'm going to show you how to get started. So I'm going to be taking some water first. I'm actually going to get my paper wet in my area for the sky. And I'm actually going to be very careful going around my mountain itself. Okay. Now, the reason I am going right along the edge of my mountain, being careful now, is so that when I'm working with my watercolors, my color will stop right along the edge of my mountain. So you can't see where my water is painting, but trust me, it is wet just until it gets to the edge of my mountain here. Now, how watercolors work is it's pigment mixed with water, and the water travels wherever the color travels, wherever the water is. So if I have water in my sky but not on the mountain, where is the color going to stop? Yeah, right on the edge of the mountain. It's not going to go any farther. So I'm going to start with adding some blue. So I'm going to take my watercolors here and stir it up really, really good. I'm going to add some blue. Now with watercolors, the more pigment you have, the darker it is. The more water you have, the lighter your color is. I'm actually going to throw in some green because I think Northern Lights has some really cool like green or even like lime green kind of streaks in it. I'm going to throw that in there. Now, keep in mind, you need to go very quick with this, okay? This will have to be a very, very quick application of your color. And the reason that is because of the watercolor technique that we're actually going to use. I'm going to add some purple in here, add some purple in the bottom, and it's called the salt method. And the salt method is exactly the way it sounds. It is using salt to manipulate your watercolors. Notice how my water is trapped. My color is trapped and is not going past to my mountains. Now, I noticed that like it's really, really pooling up. See how my color is getting really heavy there? I actually have a paper towel here. You can also use like a Kleenex, and that can, or even toilet paper, and that can soak up, see how it soaked that up, some of that pigment. So if it's starting to pool a little bit heavy, you can soak some of that up, and that's actually a really good idea. I'm going to rip off small hunks of this so I don't have too much, because sometimes you just get a little bit more than you need. Okay, because I just had a lot of water, but I wanted more pigment in there. So I might actually add a little bit more pigment, but not much water. And how I do that is I just make sure that my brush doesn't have much water in it. So I'm actually going to dry off my brush a little bit on my paper towel and then go straight into my watercolor pan just to add pigment. Okay. And then I can add some really, really dark color without adding much water. Okay. And then I can have my nice dark sky, which is kind of like what I want. Okay, let's get some more green in there. There we go. Spread that a little bit. All right. Now, While it is still wet, you actually got to take some salt. So like regular table salt works out just fine. I think I got a little too much, but that's okay. I can always put it back. And you are going to sprinkle it on top of your very wet project. And I don't know if you could see that very well, but it started to really soak up my paint. Okay. And you'll notice that if you had a really dark color, it pools dark in some spots. And actually I have a really, really dark pool right here. So I'm actually gonna soak up that little bit. There we go, that's better. Okay. And it's gonna be kind of speckly, almost like kind of like a night sky. So this is actually a really, 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 really cool technique. And if you have leftover, um, so make sure that you let this sit overnight and dry, and then you will take the salt and brush it off of your project so the salt doesn't stay on there forever. So brush off the extra salt after it is all dry, let it sit there, and then you're able to take the tape off and then cut it down and frame it. So this is actually really cool. So let me know if you guys need any help, and you got some nice contrast down below, got some emphasis so we look towards the night sky. Very cool. Nice job.